No wonder we are so confused about dieting and weight loss. What we see in the media can be so confusing and misleading. So it's important that we understand the big picture when we hear certain things around different dieting and what people are doing. So recently, I'm sure you've heard the latest of Kim Kardashian's Met Gala diet that she recently did to fit into Marilyn Monroe's iconic dress she wanted to wear for this event. So she tried on the dress and it didn't fit and said, okay, I have 3 weeks to lose 16 pounds to fit into this dress. So that was her decision ultimately, that she had to wear this dress because let's be honest, she really could have worn any dress, but it was about the point, and the memory, of course. But that was her choice. And in order to get an extreme result, you have to have an extreme method. And that's exactly what she did. So after doing some research and reading, because I'm really not up to date on these things, they said in the media that she wore a sauna suit 2 times per day. She ran on the treadmill every day. And her trainer mentioned that she would work out twice a day sometimes. And she cut out all carbohydrates and all sugar. No wonder we have such a poor relationship with carbs and sugar, because we see people cutting these things out and losing a tremendous amount of weight very quickly and think this is the answer to all of our problems. But it's actually the root of the problem. So let's talk through this. Why did this work and what is going to happen after, and how is she really also feeling? Because this is so important. So when you cut out carbohydrates are stored as glycogen in our liver, our muscles, and our cells. And this is the most efficient source of energy for our body. Our brains need carbohydrates. So when we are cutting out calories, the first thing we are going to lose is our glycogen stores. When we lose our glycogen stores, we're also losing the water with them. Carbohydrates have hydrate attached to them in the wording of them. So we are going to see a change in the scale because of a fluid fluctuation. So if we divide 16 pounds within 3 weeks, that's about 5 pounds of weight loss in a week, each week, which is a lot. And it's very difficult to actually just lose fat, 5 pounds of fat in that short amount of time. So that means it's not just fat loss, it is muscle loss, and it is water loss. So what also happens when our body goes through this extreme approach is other parts of our body slow down. Our body is adaptive. So if our body recognizes we're not getting the calories that we need to feel safe, other processes that are less important for survival will start to downregulate. So what does this mean? Our body needs a certain amount of calories for survival, for our heart to beat, our lungs to breathe, our brains to function, for just basic processes. If we were to lay in bed all day just for our body to function and survive, we have a certain amount of calories that we need to do that. When our body starts to feel unsafe and that it's not consistently getting what it needs, it'll downregulate other unnecessary processes for survival. So metabolism slows down, digestion and stomach emptying slows down. So we may not start to feel as hungry too after a while because our digestion is slowing down. We burn calories also with digestion through the thermic effect of food. So that process is slowing down. So our energy expenditure is slowing down to conserve the energy that we're receiving, which is very, very limited. So our body feels unsafe. Digestion also really sucks at this point too, because guess where fiber comes from? Carbohydrates. And if we're not getting enough fiber, we're likely constipated. And if you're constipated, you're uncomfortable, right? So she was probably also very irritable. She was probably moody. Her digestion sucked. She was probably miserable to be around that whole month. She was dieting to do this, to achieve this one moment outcome. And also, this is creating a very awful relationship with food. Because what is going to happen is she's going to, after the event is over, go back to eating normally, even if it's not out of control. Just by reintroducing carbohydrates, her body is going to retain initially those foods because, again, it feels unsafe. So it's like, oh my goodness, I need to conserve this energy that I am getting in case I am put back into this place again. So our body starts to become very stingy, and it becomes harder and harder to lose weight the next time we try that approach because our body is very smart and it remembers what happened. It does not know the difference between weight loss and starvation. So we have to remember after this happens that she's going to gain weight very quickly, which is uncomfortable and very defeating, right? When you've made all this progress per se, and then boom, you just start to be a normal human and it comes back even more. And studies and research shows that when we lose weight that way, the weight comes back and even more after that, which is very frustrating. It creates a very awful relationship with food because we think carbs are the devil and they make us gain weight, but that's actually not the problem. It's the whole approach as a whole. And after the fact, it is going to be very just frustrating, right? So we have to look at the whole big picture of these things, understand what is going on scientifically in the body from a logical standpoint, because unfortunately, everywhere we go, we hear about someone going on some sort of diet and someone doing some sort of extreme approach, and maybe they lost this weight very quickly and they're so successful, but what is actually going on? Right? And then what is happening after? And likely there's very strong cravings that makes us feel out of control. And then we overeat those foods we restricted, which feels absolutely awful. We feel guilt, we feel shame, and it creates the cycle, right? The binge restrict cycle. So it's just helpful to be able to filter this out for yourself. And this is what I absolutely love doing with my nutrition clients, is helping them understand what their bodies need, why things happen the way they do. So that way they have the confidence to be in these situations and moments and hear these things and can filter them and say, that's not sustainable. And she probably feels so shitty and it's not even worth it. So, excuse me, I never swear. That was just a passionate claim. And so it's just so helpful when you know what works for you and you have the confidence to continue to make those choices despite the things that we hear. So let me know, what are your thoughts on the latest here? And it's just so important that we're modeling these things to our future generations, right? Because there's no difference between Kim Kardashian, you and I. Like, we are all human beings from a biological standpoint. The only difference maybe is that she has more access to resources. Maybe she has more money, clearly, and she has more of a spotlight also on what she's doing, and it's very focused on body image in that realm. But from a biological standpoint, what happens with weight loss is no different from what's going to happen with her and what would happen with anybody else. So I hope that was helpful. I'd love to know your thoughts on this and anything that you learned. If there's anything I can do for you, reach out, comment below, give me a like. Hear from you soon.